Gunshot survivors of Reddit, what does it feel like to get shot?
I took a 7.62 to the stomach in Afghanistan. Felt like somebody had smacked with like, I dunno, a flyswatter or something. A short sharp smack. Didn't feel much until I tried to come out of cover and I just couldn't make my body listen to me. Then the pin hit. I'd put it at like, I dunno, and November 10th. Bullet blew off half my liver.
Chest, .357 magnum, through sternum, lung, ricochet off of rib, through scapula. Still have half under my shouldblade. Felt like I was stabbed in the chest with a hot fire poker mounted to the bottom of someone's foot when they drop kicked me. Was not expected to survive, severe blood loss, of course. Very good EMS team kept the liquids where they were supposed to and great doctors and nurses kept me going.
I didn't really feel either of mine until about 10 minutes later. Took a grazing shot off my left arm and one in the right hip that went out my back, thankfully missing my kidney. The arm felt like a bee sting, the hip knocked me back a step, the adrenaline at the time masked the pain.
I was shot during a home robbery. I'm probably one of the luckiest people alive. The bullet, no joke, scratched my cheek and then went through the top of my ear, and also a bullet grazed my wrist and opened it up. I didn't feel anything but just liquid running down my face and my worst was burning. Scariest night of my life and RIP Christian. Miss you so much, buddy. Here is proof. Authorities said Burke and Brandon Fries, 21, fought the suspects for their guns, which were fired during the struggle. The two masked men fled, and investigators initially did not have any information about which direction they went or whether they escaped from the scene by car. Both Burke and Fries had been shot and were transported to Hermann Memorial Hospital in Katy. Burke was pronounced dead upon arrival at the emergency room, less than 4 miles away.
I got shot in the ankle when I was 10. Honestly, I thought a rock hit me. Just a slight stinging feeling. Didn't really hurt, I even kept running with my bike. Later at the hospital was a different story. The doctor tried to remove the bullet without putting me under. He said the pain medicine would make me forget everything. He gave up after a few minutes of hell. And, whatever he gave me didn't work as described, but it did oddly make everyone look purple from what I remember. So maybe it half worked? LOL.
Right thigh, 9 mm, grazing shot across the front of the leg about 4 inches above the knee. It plowed a channel of skin and some flesh off the front. It felt searing hot, like someone had laid a hot piece of metal on my leg for a second. Then, the pain went away for a while until the adrenaline wore off. It honestly hurt worse 6 hours later than it did when it happened.
I was randomly shot while walking down the street with my girlfriend in 2013. I didn't fall to the ground or anything like that. Walked into a store and told them to call the cops. It didn't hurt too bad at first. A slight pinch. The heat builds up and the pain comes in. Some throbbing as the blood pumps out. I was extremely lucky as the bullet lodged between my lower right ribs in the back, just above my kidney. The aftermath was a really achy back. What I remember most was how everyone around me except for my girlfriend just walked around us like nothing happened. I was suffering and potentially dying and everyone just ignored it. Not my problem, I suppose. I lost a lot of faith in people that day.
I accidentally discharged my 9 and I was hit in the head. While it was going on, I honestly did not feel any pain, but everything slowed way down. Healing and recuperating was the hardest. My mouth and jaw was wired shut for several months. Had to have complete facial reconstruction surgery. Had to take a piece of bone from my skull and graft it to my nose just so I could have a nose. I also had to have a feeding tube for almost a whole year. I've recovered fully and I'm very lucky. I remember mostly everything. Some things from the incident I don't remember, but for the most part, I have my memories intact.
My GF was shot, not me, but she said it felt hot and like impact, but not particularly painful until much later. She was in shock and went to the hospital. After hours she said it started to hurt.
A good friend of mine got hit with a ricochet from a 9mm that hit his calf. There was drive by about a block down. He was outside of the bar smoking a cig when it happened, ran inside and felt his leg burning but decided to keep drinking. He had about 3 more drinks before someone mentioned he was bleeding, went to the ER absolutely hammered, and was fine after surgery.
Shot twice. Second one resulted in separation from the army. The first was in my armor piece, no penetration, but it felt like I was kicked by a horse. The second one was into my pelvis and it's the worst pain I ever felt, and I still engaged in combat for the next 45 minutes before I could safely be moved back. 10 out of 10 shitty.
I was shot when I was 9. I didn't feel anything at first because my mind was in fight or flight mode and my only focus was dialing 911 and saving my mother. I only started feeling the immense stinging/burning sensation when I was loaded into the ambulance. I want to say it's as if you had a hot iron shoved through you at it. I was shot with a .45 caliber. I survived multiple gunshot wounds, one shattered my elbow, it swung in the wrong direction, and another damaged a nerve rendering me being unable to move my foot up along with loss of feeling throughout my entire leg. Edit 2, my mother unfortunately passed away at the scene. I'm doing well now, although I still deal with PTSD, it's much less. This was over 11 years ago that we fell victim to a home invasion. The perpetrator was caught and has life in prison, no parole. I had the option to choose the death penalty, however, I felt I would have been cheated if he didn't have to suffer.
It hurt, like, a lot. Was shot from behind, I was running away. Small caliber was best guess, maybe .22 since it went in and out of my right arm. Entry just left and down my arm from my elbow, exit on forearm opposite side. X-rays showed hairline fracture on the ulna. Since the bone held and wasn't shattered by the bullet, they assumed small caliber. Felt like getting hit in the elbow with a hammer. Then warmth. Which I later found was the blood leaking. No major arteries and lucky ricochet away from my center mass. Bloody clothes and ambulance ride. Painkillers and 8-hour observation to make sure no swelling, which could lead to amputation. Trauma room for 8 hours, then sent home with painkiller prescription. Would not recommend.
Freak ricochet at the firing range, felt like a slap on my shoulder. The projectile had lost so much speed it didn't cause a bruise.
Not me, but my neighbor. He was shot in the abdomen with a .22 during an altercation. He said that he couldn't believe how much it burned. The trauma surgeon also told him he was lucky as .22s can be surprisingly lethal.
Been shot 3 times. It depends on the bullet and where it hits from my experience. .45 hollow point felt like someone took a full flat-ended rod and stabbed me hard enough it punched through me and burned like a bitch. So in short, big hard solid hit, mild sharp stabby pain like a cut or stab, and the feeling of hot metal burning me. .223 gave solid shove, burning line through where it passed, not much actual pain till later. Another 223 round however hit my shoulder blade, similar sensation except where it hit my shoulder blade felt like someone shattered it using a hammer. Before people is why I have been shot 3 times. The hollow point and 223 that hit my shoulder blade were both doing aid work, one in Haiti after the 2010 earthquake. One in Mexico doing aid work with migrants. The third was from an idiot's negligence during a shooting contest.
It hurts like someone stabbing you with a sword that was heated up.
Not me, but a patient I had when I was a nurse. Dude took 3 shots, 2 to the chest and 1 in the abdomen. He said it happened at a bonfire when some random dude opened fire because he was mad that his girlfriend went to the bonfire or something. I asked him how it felt and he said at first, it felt like he was punched by very tiny fists that were on fire. Pain meds made him hilarious with his descriptions. He didn't realize he was even shot until someone told him he was bleeding everywhere. 2 of the bullets were through and through and he had to have exploratory surgery to remove the 3rd bullet, which miraculously missed every major organ. He didn't really feel any pain until he woke up from surgery. I miss that guy. He was by far my favorite patient.
Shot in the bicep at work, by what I'm guessing, was a .22. Felt like a bad bee sting. The next day my bicep swelled to at least twice its normal size and was covered with a bruise.